Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to OTRAM's YouTube channel, your source for Land Cruiser repair and modification videos. Today we're going to take advantage of the shop truck being in here and needing a ton of work. And we're going to start by doing the rear brakes on it. So I'm going to move you over to the shop truck in just a minute, and we're going to do rear pads, rotors, and calipers today. So let me put you over there and I'll be right back. Okay, it is not easy to get a good view under here. Since we're going to do calipers on this, the first thing we're going to do, and the shock is blocking your view of it, but there's a banjo bolt right back here on the back of the caliper that holds the brake hose on. And I've already loosened this because I had it dripping. But it's just this banjo bolt here and some crush washers, and then we can wiggle the brake hose off and get that loose and out of our way. I'm just going to swing that around to the side. Put my banjo bolt in my parts bucket. You're going to want a drain pan or something under this because you're going to lose brake fluid. I cracked these all last night to start the draining process so I wouldn't have quite as much mess. And then we can just come under here and 17mm socket. We can break these loose. And these are actually your caliper pins. And if you look at the way they're spinning, like on this side, we're going to want to take the bottom one out first. Because if we took the top one out first, when we go to loosen this one, it's going to make the caliper flop. So it's easier to do the lower one first. And we're just going to loosen that up, pull the pin out. We're going to stick that off to the side because we're going to clean those up real well. And we're going to come up here to the top one. And pull that one out. Oh, and these are kind of stuck. So we're going to wiggle that off, and then we've got our caliper off, and you can see the wheel seals on this truck are also blown, so we're going to be taking care of those as well. We'll set that off to the side. And now, at this point, if you were just doing pads, you could pull the pads out of the torque plate here. But we're not. We're going to do rotors as well. So there's a 17 down here, and another one that's up here hidden behind the shock. Whew. We'll crack that guy loose. Crack that one loose. Put our hardware down in our bolt box. It helps to have a shallow socket on this bottom one because you're going to want to run into the shock. And then this whole thing slides off, and that's what holds your brake pads, and you can just, slide them out of there. Watch your shims. There's some metal shims that, and I just dropped them, snap down in here. You want to keep track of those. We're going to clean all this up and media blast them before we put them back on. So there's all our caliper and everything off. Let me spin you around and we'll take the rotor off. Okay, so our parking brake is undone. So we can just wiggle this off. And you can see it's disgusting in here because the wheel seals are blown. If this won't just slide off, there's a couple of threaded holes, 8x125 here, and you can thread bolts in and use those to push the rotor out. So there's disassembly. It's quick and easy. I'm going to throw all this in the parts washer and then media blast it, and then we'll come back and do reassembly. Okay, so we're ready to start putting everything back together. I've taken my caliper bracket, degreased it, media blasted it, and painted it. The rubber boots on mine were just destroyed, so I went ahead and put new rubber boots in here, as well as new stainless steel slide plates. A lot of times you can buy a remanufactured caliper with the bracket for like $5 more than just the bracket itself. If you can do that, it is money well spent because it's going to come with all the new hardware already prepped and painted. Everybody was out of stock on this one, so I ended up just blasting and painting the bracket and getting a caliper separately. We can come around and grab a bolt and a washer and hang this over. And I already put the rotor on, obviously, because I was adjusting the parking brake in another video, and I needed the caliper or the rotor on there to do that. So I'm gonna start my bolts, and I thought I had my ratchet over here, but I don't, so let me grab my ratchet. So I'm just gonna snug these up. And I've already cleaned my rotor with brake clean to get all the grease and grime off of it. Those are snug. Then these get torqued to 76 foot-pounds. Any day now. There we go. There's one. There's the other. And with that set, we can go ahead and take our brake pads and slide those into the new pad guides. And sometimes they take some wiggling to get in there. And then I've got remanned calipers, so my piston's already retracted into the bore. If you didn't have remanned calipers, you can get a piston retracting tool like this that expands and evenly pushes the piston back. Even is the key. But now we can stick our caliper on here, and the little boots are going to want to bow and wobble and be a pain. So you just got to kind of fight with them. And I set my hardware down. Now that the caliper is loosely set on there, we can put our guide pins back in. These were really crusty, so I went ahead and blasted them as well. And we're going to take some synthetic brake grease, and we're going to coat these real well. Because we don't want them to stick. And then we'll feed those in, making sure that they center up in those rubber boots and that we're not getting the rubber boots torn or crooked. Snug those up, and then these get torqued to 65. There we go. And then we've just got our brake hose back here to deal with. And you want to make sure that the brake hose is nice and clean on the face where the banjo bolt goes. And same thing with the banjo bolt. I don't know if you can see it on this one. There's still, the old washer is stuck on here. So I'm gonna go get a razor blade and pop that off. And you know what? I just realized my new calipers didn't come with the crush washers for this. So I can't put these in yet. But what you would normally do is you'd put a new crush washer against the bolt, slip this through the brake line, another washer on the other side, and then you're gonna very gently tighten it into the caliper. And, I just looked this up. Tighten it up to 22 foot-pounds. And once that's tightened up, you're ready to start bleeding the brakes. And I will do a video on that as well. So basically at this point, other than the brake line and bleeding, you're done putting your brakes back together. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, subscribe below. If you really like our videos, consider checking out our Patreon link down in the description. We really appreciate the support. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.